The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
To scratch and major itch. So enjoy your fruity pebbles, you yabba dabba bitch.
The God Almighty! They've killed him! And CM Punk, and I am the voice of the voiceless.
Be the man. You gotta beat the man. Woo woo woo. You know it. I got okie doke by the
Live from the Pro Wrestling Report studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Monday Night Meltdown with your hosts, Damian Nelson and David Hero.
I'm proud to say we're doing things the Vince McMahon way.
That's the bottom line. What? Cause Stone Cold said so.
Bringing you all the latest news and views from professional wrestling. Monday Night Meltdown is on the air.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown. Damian Nelson coming to you here with David Octavius, Tiberius, the Legend Backyard Hall of Famer Hero, and we are live here on Monday night, March 5, 2012, for Monday Night Meltdown, an active show here tonight as we talk about the Raw that just went off the air, which featured a championship changing hands and WrestleMania continuing to take shape. Also, we'll be taking your phone calls. The number by which you can call in is 877-317-9772, 877-317-9772, and also a big announcement, another name added to the Shenanigans Beach Party coming to Miami on WrestleMania weekend. But without further ado, let's get right down to the discussion of tonight's WWE Raw event, which ended again with The Rock and John Cena in a verbal sparring in the ring. And just a few minutes ago, David, on Twitter, you set out them shooting words as The Rock and Cena were talking.
Absolutely. You can tell The Rock is hot about last week still, and pretty much said, take away everything I got. I'll still rip your throat out. Are you kidding me? I mean, that was real right there. I mean, those two, you can tell they do not like each other one bit.
Are you sure, David Hero? Because some people are saying that only marks would think that way, that they're actors, they're wrestlers, they're performers. They know how to make us believe.
Well, they're both actors and they're both performers, and yeah, they're both wrestlers, but from everything I've heard that happened last Monday night, they just do not care for each other. They don't like each other, and it's going to be one hell of a tense match at WrestleMania between these two. There's going to be a few potatoes and a few receipts going on in that match.
We've heard the rumors of this, and they're really not rumors when you have so many people who know so much about the business chime in, people who know these two men personally. And I think tonight you saw much more in John Cena being basically a little prick to The Rock in the hopes of getting The Rock worked up to the point where he would react. I'm not calling Cena a prick. I'm saying he was doing what he needed to do to get at The Rock tonight, and it seemingly worked because The Rock was all up in his grill, straight up, and he was using the intimidation factor against John Cena. John Cena never wavering, but the realism is felt when those two men are face-to-face, and you can just see the disdain for The Rock. And if you think and look and listen to what The Rock is saying about John Cena, he is basically saying Cena is a joke. He's basically saying Cena is not a superstar. He's basically saying Cena ain't got nothing on The Rock. We talked about some comparisons in the past, David Hero, and one comparison that has struck me tonight is that between The Rock, not The Rock actually, but between Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3. Most people will tell you who were involved with that going into that matchup, nobody knew if Andre the Giant was really going to do it. Nobody knew if Andre the Giant was really going to pass that torch and lay it down for Hulk Hogan. He ultimately would do that, but there will be as much doubt potentially going into WrestleMania for this matchup between The Rock and John Cena.
Yeah, I mean, when John Cena said tonight that he would lose everything if he loses to The Rock at WrestleMania, now there's that doubt. I mean, they did a good job of bringing that now into it. I mean, where everyone thought that, The Rock's going to roll over John Cena, it'll be The Rock in Miami. Well, now you got to wonder, is he? I mean, did they build up John Cena now for the past 10 years to have him do the biggest job of his entire career at the biggest stage of them all? Interesting. What I also thought was interesting is how John Cena was even using the Kane psychology on The Rock earlier, saying, I want the old Rock back. I want this guy to come back. I want you to embrace what you used to be. Almost like he wants The Rock to embrace the hate. John Cena had a different edge to him tonight, which he needed to get some love from the crowd. And in the end, he did get a decent reaction from his hometown crowd.
What Raw were you watching? They practically booed him out of the building. They didn't care about Cena. They didn't want
but they also got a Tooth Fairy chant going, which was...
No, you know what I heard? I didn't hear Tooth Fairy. I heard Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, I heard Tooth Fairy also. I mean, I wouldn't say it was split 50-50, but I think there was a little more pro-Cena in the crowd tonight than what I thought there was going to be.
Wow. All right. Well,
you might have water in your ears right now or something. Yeah. Well, I know what I heard.
We want to send all of you to our Facebook page, facebook.com/PWR Show, facebook.com/PWR Show, our new Facebook page, where you'll see right on the timeline there the question. So you said last week that The Rock won the verbal battle between he and John Cena, but who would you say won this week? Last week, The Rock was the person the fans decided on our Facebook page. You can go now and vote. We'll have the results of that at the end of this broadcast. We want to hear what all of you have to say and who you thought came out on top tonight between The Rock and John Cena. The intensity between these two men, the intensity between their verbal battles continues to grow. And while last week we sat on this program, David, and said, it seemed as if the goal was to make John Cena look stronger. Would you say that was the goal again this week? And if so, did it work?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think John Cena is slowly building some steam behind him going into WrestleMania. It's starting to look not so one-sided. Tonight, the verbal warfare, for me, it was, down the middle. I think it was 50-50. I thought The Rock got some good stuff in, and I thought that John Cena was definitely playing a tremendous antagonist. And he was doing you could tell he was doing everything he could to push The Rock's buttons, especially with his facial expressions. And John Cena took away so much ammunition from The Rock by making fun of himself before The Rock even got out to the ring, talking about the knee pads, the shoes, the silly outfit, the whole thing. So he already took away whatever The Rock may have had for him.
If you are The Rock and if you are John Cena, if you're The Rock and you're going around saying you're a man's man, you're not kids, you're not Fruity Pebbles, you're not whatever, and you're John Cena who's been painted into that hole, while he's making fun of himself, at the same time, he did everything he needed to do to get at The Rock being a man's man, meaning he was acting like, as I said earlier, a prick. He had that smirk on his face. He wasn't taking The Rock seriously in what he was saying. He was almost mocking him that entire time in the ring. And what that shows me is, again, that there is some desired realism being communicated in this. And at the same time, it also shows me that things may not be so obvious come WrestleMania with The Rock winning. Now, I will ask you this, and I'd love to hear the thoughts of Meathead and Linda and Matthew as well as we go around. The Rock can defeat John Cena in Miami, and fans coming out of WrestleMania will think the same thing they did going into WrestleMania, which was that The Rock is better than John Cena.
Well, but right now, going into WrestleMania, The Rock is better because he's the special attraction. He's the main event. He had nothing to do the entire year to establish himself as the guy. Whereas John Cena, he's had to have programs with CM Punk, with Vince McMahon, with a whole bunch of other people to get there, whereas The Rock hasn't done a whole lot.
I'm saying this, though. The fans in mass, especially in Miami, don't think John Cena has a chance of defeating The Rock. Would you agree or disagree with that, David?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, right now...
Would you agree or disagree? Matthew, would you agree or disagree with that?
It's hard to say. You know, it feels like it's up in the air to me at this point. You know.
No, I'm asking a very specific question. The fans in Miami, come WrestleMania, do you think that people are entering Sun Life Stadium and ordering on pay-per-view because they think John Cena has a chance, or because they know The Rock will beat him?
Prior to last week, I think there wouldn't have been a doubt in the majority of the fans' minds that The Rock was going to leave the victor. But over the last 2 weeks, you know, more so than anything, we have seen Cena be able to, if nothing else, get under The Rock's skin. So I don't think it is clear in, you know, the eyes of most of the fans now as it was a couple of weeks ago.
You know, here's what we're going to do, and I appreciate both your feedback. We're going to throw this to the chat room here on Blog Talk Radio. Meatheads are taking a look at what's going on in the chat room. We'll later on in the show go to some of those comments and hear what they have to say live, those listening to us live here on Blog Talk Radio, about that question. Is it assumed, is it a foregone conclusion, essentially, that The Rock will defeat John Cena at WrestleMania, thus meaning John Cena does not have to win that matchup because that's the expectation, and coming out of it, with The Rock somewhat of a memory, it seems, after WrestleMania, does that then mean that John Cena is not at all damaged from that loss at WrestleMania? I'd love to hear the fan feedback on that, because I wonder where the fans' heads are right now. Yes, there are Cena fans. Yes, there are Rock fans. But at the same time, I think if you sit back on that lazy boy and think about it for a minute, you know who probably is the better of the two as far as being able to deliver on the big stage, WrestleMania. And that seemingly is The Rock. We'll get to that later on. What did you guys think of the John Cena empty arena promo, where basically the theme of it was, I must win, nobody remembers number 2? Matthew, your thoughts?
I thought it was outright cringeworthy, to be honest with you. You know, I can appreciate them trying to do something a little different, and it was, in fact, different, but I just didn't think it came across good at all.
Hero?
You know, it's amazing how when The Rock had his, you know, outside promos and whatnot that they were doing, they would eventually show the audience, they'd show the crowd and their reaction. With John Cena, they muted the entire crowd and didn't show the arena once, which I thought was rather interesting, and it was rather uneventful. I mean, my God, he would, you know what? It would have made more sense to have him in his bus than in an empty arena.
Or maybe in his home in Boston.
He lives in Tampa now, but I mean, why not show him on the bus? But you know what? If they show him on the bus, that $2.5 million bus, well, now he has that movie star, rock star thing going also, and that would defeat the purpose of John Cena being a wrestler's wrestler.
You know, I got to say, one thing struck me tonight on Raw and then the overall presentation of it. Two things, really. There were a lot of squash matches. We'll get to those in a minute. But if you were one of those 16,000 plus that bought a ticket in Boston at the TD whatever, Fleet Center, whatever it's called nowadays, you watched Raw on TV tonight, and you got, 12, 20 minutes of in-ring either talking or wrestling, which is about usually back to a comment that Jimmy Hart made a couple of years ago, I think, on our program, about how a lot of these people go to WWE shows to watch it on the big screen. There was a lot of pre-taped and a lot of out-of-ring events tonight on Raw.
Bromigo, those people bought their tickets to see The Rock. They didn't buy their tickets to truly watch Raw. They wanted to see the great one. And that's exactly what they got. They got a lot of segments of The Rock and John Cena tonight.
That they did. And the history lesson segments were what started it all. And I think The Rock started off extremely strong right out of the gate with the Cena merchandise into the Boston Harbor. Matthew, your thoughts?
Oh, I thought it was absolutely classic. You know, all the history lessons with The Rock, I greatly enjoyed tonight. I thought it was definitely him, you know, doing what he does best.
He was unfazed. John Cena brought it up a couple times. Think about last week. John Cena, much like you, David Hero, reading notes on his arm, trying to
Whoa, much like me. What does that mean?
Did you watch yourself on Primetime or 5 last week?
I never watch myself on Primetime. Are you kidding me? I was there live.
You wake up with it, you go to sleep with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I do wake up with myself and go to sleep with myself. Yes, absolutely.
The Rock was unfazed and not damaged one bit tonight with that crowd in Boston. I really thought there was a risk that last week would have taken a toll on The Rock because of his vulnerability being shown with those notes written on his arm. That's seemingly not there at all tonight, and I was very surprised by that.
Well, I mean, and what did The Rock do? I mean, for a guy that was kind of called out, he got right up in John Cena's face, and you know, John Cena no-sold it. He made it seem like he wasn't intimidated by The Rock, which is what he had to do. But you got to figure deep down in his heart rate jumped because The Rock's not kidding. I mean, hey, his uncle is Haku. One of the most Haku. God bless you. You know, King Tonga, Ming. You didn't. You know, he knows how to rip an eyeball out of somebody's head and rip out somebody's throat. I mean, come on. The Rock is serious. If that were to turn into a fight, can you imagine? Just boy, it'd be crazy. Ridiculous.
Well, you never know. Maybe Cena carries a shank.
Yeah, he could. I doubt it, but yeah, it could be. You know, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, the amazing thing is you have one of the most violent matches on WrestleMania in a Hell in a Cell, and that's not getting top billing on Discussion tonight. Right now, the top billing, and then that Hell in a Cell now includes Shawn Michaels. Okay, and right now we're still the first thing out of the box is all about The Rock and John Cena. That tells you what is selling tickets for this pay-per-view.
Parallel world. Let's look back to Chicago. WrestleMania 22. Triple H versus John Cena. John Cena was the serious one going into this. Triple H treated this match going into it, going through it, and up towards it as he said at one point, the easiest night of his life. He did not take the opponent, John Cena, seriously. Now, seemingly, John Cena getting into that role of not taking his opponent, The Rock, seriously. Can he get away with that? I think he appreciates his talents. I know he does because he told us several times on Raw tonight. But at the same time, he was a bit of a goofball outside of when he was in the ring with The Rock alone. Does he run the risk of being seemingly less concerned with the threat of The Rock than he should be, Matthew Thomas?
I think with the whole Cena not taking him serious and kind of making light and trying to be this, you know, little instigator, if you will, I think that's where, as this match is evolving towards WrestleMania, I think that's a lot of where you're going to be able to get the heat from, with The Rock just getting absolutely irate. You know, it's Cena making his little, you know, statements towards The Rock. So I think more so than anything, as we get closer, this kind of nonchalant attitude is going to work to make this a more personal match by the way that attitude is seemingly getting under The Rock's skin.
Let's talk about some other things that happened on Raw tonight. I could talk about Rock and Cena all night long, but you can tune in to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime and PWR 5 this weekend. It'll be our third week in a row, David Hero, where we have intense discussion about the ongoing saga between The Rock and John Cena, which ultimately shows who's winning in this battle between those two. It's us, the wrestling fans. Whether you believe it to be real, whether you don't, whether you're going to be excited for this matchup at WrestleMania or whether you're not, these two, giving credit to both, including John Cena, these two are delivering, as David Hero said earlier, the ticket sales for WrestleMania, the buys for WrestleMania. For any of you who think that The Rock shouldn't be there, for any of you who think that the headline should be CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, they would not have over 60,000 tickets sold in Miami already on WrestleMania, the name itself. They would not be anticipating their biggest revenue day in the history of the company if not for The Rock and John Cena. So no matter what happens, both those men deserve an amazing amount of credit. And I think maybe perhaps if you're ready, Meathead, we can go to some of those comments we got from the Chatmosphere about what people thought or what people think going into WrestleMania, whether or not it's The Rock or John Cena who is the anticipated victor.
Well, you got Jubashi. He says, Rock never says anything, seriously, and he pauses every 2 words for the stupid audience to chant. Now, The Rock has said, in my opinion, Rock has said a lot of things, but, Jubashi's right. The Rock has this way about him where he cuts these promos where he's not saying a lot, but he's saying enough. And I do love the fact that, and the Chatmosphere has been saying it as well, the fact that they haven't touched each other. The Rock and Cena are, basically no touching. And, we've had that, Damien. We've talked about that plenty of times, how, you got this big build-up and they don't touch. There's no touching. There's, no interaction, no matches between the two of them. It's an old-school build-up.
And again, the conversation going all night long in the chat room on Blog Talk Radio. I want to thank you for keeping PWR Monday Night Meltdown the #1 show all week last week on Blog Talk Radio. We appreciate all of you who follow the show, listen, and tune in, and are a part of it each and every week, including those of you whose phone calls we're going to be getting to after the first time out as we enter the phone zone. And we need to continue along, though, and talk more about Raw, and a big start to the show tonight as Shawn Michaels approaches and confronts Triple H over the comment made by The Undertaker that stated that Triple H knew that Shawn Michaels was always better than him, and that was the reason, if not the reason, it definitely was the moment where Triple H accepted the matchup with The Undertaker for WrestleMania. And the big announcement, as HBK pushed Triple H's buttons, the big announcement is that he is going to be the special guest referee at WrestleMania in the Hell in a Cell matchup between Triple H and The Undertaker. Matthew, would love to hear your perspective on that opening segment with those two stars.
Yeah, the segment I thought was well done. I liked the way that the announcement was made kind of matter-of-factly by Shawn Michaels. The thing with this is that it just, in epic matches like this, I've always felt, no matter how much intrigue it adds to the story, no matter how much it helps to build, I feel like a guest referee, it's never really felt official to me, in a big matchup like this. And as much as I think it will add to the story, I think just on that stage, to me, it just seems like it's a bit of a distraction.
David Hero?
Shawn Michaels coming back into the WrestleMania, into the special guest referee.
What are you, Iron Sheik? Into the WrestleMania?
Into the WrestleMania, Sheiky baby. It's like, coming on Zoom, I just don't know if it's needed. I really don't. As much as I love Shawn Michaels, and absolutely he's one of the greatest wrestlers of our generation, if not, one of the best of all time. Now, and I don't want to be negative, but I'm going to sound that way, now it's a crowded match.
Yeah.
They don't need Shawn Michaels in this match. They really don't. Shawn Michaels,
that's another big
done. Well, it's a huge check for him, but they are stacking this card with part-time guys right now, with Chris Jericho, with The Rock, with Undertaker, with Triple H. it's gonna be interesting to see. You know, people complain that The Rock leaves and doesn't come back. Well, Shawn Michaels does the same thing. No one's complaining about it. Undertaker hasn't been back in a year. No one's complaining about it.
And last year he was only back for a month. All
right?
told.
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of it. I'm really not. Like I said, I don't think it's going to help the quality of the match. I mean, so what? Now Shawn Michaels is going to count his buddy out for the 3 count because honestly, there's no way Taker's going to lose a Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, going 20-0.
And maybe that's where he will.
But why? I mean, why? It doesn't make sense whatsoever. Shawn Michaels retired. I don't mind him coming back for, you know, some special guest spots, but, you know, no one's going to say, hey, that should be Scott Armstrong's spot as the referee in the Hell in a Cell match. No one's going to say, hey, you know, bring back Jimmy Corderas. Everyone loves the fact that now someone that may not, you know, that there's a referee that should be in that spot. Of course, I'm being sarcastic, but you know where I'm going.
Speaking of spots and speaking of WrestleMania, the 2 champions were involved in a tag team battle tonight as CM Punk teamed up with Sheamus to take on Chris Jericho and Daniel Bryan. A solid wrestling match which saw Jericho get the 1-2-3 pinfall on CM Punk. David Hero, the champions, WWE and World Heavyweight respectively, in a tag match on Raw. Is there a message there? Is there something to be said about that after the spotlight they got last week, opening the program in the first 40 minutes really focused around those 2 matchups?
Well, I mean, those 2 matchups, like I said, are going to be 3 and 4 from the top. You know, match 1 is going to have, you know, that the headliners Rock and Cena, and number 2 is now the Taker and H with Shawn Michaels. Well, now their matches 3 and 4. So they're not gonna be showcased on Raw the way they should be because they're not the main events. Yeah, they're the 2 champions, but boy, talk about a guy who maybe it's just me, maybe I'm missing something, but it seems like CM Punk has lost a little bit of steam the past couple months. He's not the main guy on Raw anymore, and yeah, he's taken a back seat to Cena and Rock and Shawn Michaels and Taker and Triple H, but wow. I mean, the champion. When was the last time the world champion, and when I say world, it can be either the Raw or the SmackDown brand in any show, has ever been the number 4 or 5 guy?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that's a very good question.
I mean, when did you go into a WrestleMania where one of the champions wasn't the focal point?
Well, I was I was reluctantly gonna say last year, but that wasn't the case last year either.
No, because that was the main event.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you could argue that the WrestleMania 18, as some people have called it, debacle, with the champion Jericho and the challenger Triple H is the only thing that comes close.
But that was the first WrestleMania. Okay, but listen, when you had Hogan and Rock, and that may have been the most loaded WrestleMania of all time as far as talent goes. When you can't find a match for Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know what I'm saying? Where you just throw him into there with Scott Hall, who Austin, the biggest money draw in the history of the business.
Yep, good point. And speaking of last year's WrestleMania, Dave Hero, as we pondered that question, the Big Show takes on The Miz, and while The Miz may have come out with a new Danger, I'm Awesome, You're Not shirt, it was not The Miz who people remember from that matchup except for one reason, him basically getting squashed real quickly. It was Cody Rhodes showing that clip from WrestleMania 8. What happened was you selected him in the draft shortly after WrestleMania last year, and ever since then he's been climbing for that bottom rung, and he can't get past it because you you have single-handedly ruined his career. Do you know I have to go back to the editorial staff and reevaluate the endorsement of The Miz? Not because the election was tainted?
Yeah, I'm sure. The Miz is tainted right now. I did not do anything to The Miz.
That hero karma.
Wow.
That hero aura. You mentioned his name, you brought him into the Mighty Mouse Club, and there he went. You may as well have just taken a needle and put it in his helium balloon and just watched it go away with that little noise, See? Around the room.
Speaking of the Miz's merchandise, did you see all the new T-shirts that came out tonight? They are gearing up for a huge WrestleMania. You got a new Broski shirt, a new Miz shirt. There's a newer CM Punk shirt. Who else got new? Dolph Ziggler has a new shirt. It's like, wow. Kofi Kingston has a new one. They're going to be there's going to be a record-breaking WrestleMania in Miami. And to think it's all going to start off with shenanigans on Friday night.
Speaking of a new shirt, Matthew Thomas, Zack Ryder, back tonight on Raw. Woo, woo, woo. Eve kissed him. Your thoughts on the return of the Long Island IZ to Monday Night Raw?
I was glad to see him back. More so than that, I was glad to see that at least maybe something we've been doing, this thing that they've been doing with Eve the last couple of weeks, wasn't just in order to get her into some feud with Kelly. Maybe there's going to be some payoff where it does some good for Ryder. So, I was glad to see him come back after he'd been killed, 4 or 5 times over the past few months.
David Hero, you, after you selected Zack Ryder, he lost the United States Championship, got thrown off the stage, got dumped by his girlfriend. He was back tonight. Your thoughts on the return of Zack Ryder?
And he's shuffling along, isn't he? But once again, Zack Ryder proves to the world that a pretty woman can screw the whole thing up. He was over and done with her. He got rid of her. All she did is came over, laid the lip lock on him like Poison Ivy, and bang. Did you see how smitten he was? What is wrong with that guy? He obviously is not going to learn his lesson. But, hey, anyone that turns the Statue of Liberty into a broski deserves all the bad karma he gets coming to him.
All right, let's wrap up our discussion on Raw. We got to get to all these phone callers, a bunch of active ones tonight. And let's not gloss over the fact that the former United States champion, Zack Ryder, returns. But tonight we saw a brand new United States champion crowd in a wild matchup between Santino Marella and Jack Swagger, where David Otunga, Dolph Ziggler, Teddy Long, John Laurinaitis, Kofi Kingston, and
Oksana and Vicky
all getting involved in this wild, it was a complete mess, this match, but I loved every minute of it. The banter, the arguing, the bickering between the two DMs, Teddy Long in his red suit, and the fact that Santino Marella is the brand new WWE United States champion. The fans, if they popped for anything else tonight, it was that moment. They're solidly behind the Boston Miracle in Santino Marella.
How can you not be a fan of Santino? I mean, the guy every week goes out there and he gets over and over and over. I mean, he's a rock star. The fans love him. The kids love him. He's a guy that has a green sock on his arm, and he gets over. It's just amazing. But my concern is that he'll have another U.S. title match on SmackDown, and then Jack Swagger will take the belt back. Let them go into WrestleMania with Santino as the U.S. champ, have that Survivor Series matchup between Teddy Long and Johnny Ace, and just have fun with it.
And another Mighty Mouse Club casualty, the once beloved Alicia Fox was victim to the new rising star in the Divas division, Eve. Another fast matchup, Eve getting the pinfall victory on Alicia Fox, only to once again be called a hoskie in the Divas matchup tonight on Raw.
I blinked and missed that entire match. I ain't lying. I was like, what? I mean, by the time I was done tweeting, the match was over. Brutal.
R-Truth versus Kane. Kane squashes R-Truth, but Randy Orton comes out. It seems like we're solidly on our way to a matchup between Randy Orton and the Big Red Machine Kane at WrestleMania. Matthew, your thoughts on Randy Orton again in a somewhat insignificant matchup come this WrestleMania, if this match does indeed come to fruition?
Yeah, it gives the guys something to do is really all that I can say about it. It's nothing that I'm overly excited about. It just, I don't know, it just feels kind of like the same old hat for Orton.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Orton the injury bug has been flying around and buzzing around him for quite a bit, so maybe there wasn't enough time to build anything. Obviously, the Wade Barrett situation, Barrett being out now for a period of time, I think that it's good for WWE to get Kane and Orton in there. But again, as you dissect and peel back the layers of what this WrestleMania will be, it is a WrestleMania that is focused on box office draws. It is focused on people who already have the investment of the audience along with them. That's not a bad thing. As you said, David Hero, they want money. There is no secret, because Vince McMahon said it himself in the latest press or earnings release from WWE, that they anticipate this WrestleMania to be the most successful financially ever. Everything is looking that way. The buzz around Miami, the buzz around the world for this WrestleMania is tremendous. And I think come April 1st and going into April 2nd, there's going to be a lot of very happy wrestling fans for what is going to happen at that event. All right. It's almost time to take your phone calls. But we did find out, as Raw went off the air, that next week, Cleveland, Ohio, it's a rock concert. It's been a while since we saw that. But in addition to the rock concert, it's also going to be a Cena rep. I don't know. I guess I'll leave you with this. It was The Rock. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I believe the location was perhaps Cleveland again. I think WrestleMania, going into WrestleMania 15 perhaps, when Austin drove in the beer truck. And remember what he said to The Rock. It's one of the greatest Austin promos of all time. You better get serious real soon, son, because I'm going to march right into Philadelphia, check into the SmackDown Hotel, check into room 316, and burn that son of a bitch to the ground. We might see Cena take that same role, or The Rock take that role with John Cena coming up. Regardless, it's exciting to be a wrestling fan and to sit back and look forward to Raw on Monday nights and look forward to what is going to happen next. Let's go around the room and get feedback from the rest of the PWR team here on Raw tonight. And let's start with the John Cena fan herself, the lovely social media diva, the lady who's going to be strutting her stuff on South Beach in Miami at the Shenanigans Beach Party, Linda Kay.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I think WWE is doing a what? Ooh, nah. Come on. All right. I think they're doing a really great job in having us, the fans, believe that John Cena actually has a chance to defeat The Rock at WrestleMania in Miami, in The Rock's hometown. And, Matthew, I'm going to refer back to what you said earlier, and that prior to last week, the majority of the fans thought Cena couldn't stand a chance. But now, it's seeming like he does, at least in my opinion. But all in all, with Raw tonight, I thought it was a pass. I mean, we found out that Mr. WrestleMania will be involved in Hell in a Cell. We learned a history lesson from The Rock. And we found out that John Cena is the SOB that will beat The Rock's ASS at WrestleMania.
I guess she's all about RHRY. I can't spell right.
A double crooked letter. How about that?
Thank you, Linda Kay. Meathead, your thoughts on tonight's Raw, and especially your thoughts specific to that of The Rock and John Cena.
I thought it was another way to dial it up. I, along with everybody else, thought that it was going to be obvious that they were showing Rock just rolling all over it. But, Damien, you talk about the Triple H, John Cena, WrestleMania 22. Remember Triple H? We talked about this. Running around Chicago telling everybody, it's a piece of cake. I'm just going to walk all over him. No problem. I really think that not only is it good for business, but I think it's good for everybody to know that John Cena really has a legitimate chance, and I think he's actually going to win the match.
Thank you guys for your comments. I want to refresh everybody's memory to head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/PWR show. Facebook.com/PWR show, and vote right now. Who won this week's verbal battle, John Cena or The Rock? And
Damien?
Yeah.
Damien? I don't mean to cut you off, but I just got a tweet, and I can't tell you who it's from. It's from somebody on the Raw SmackDown roster, so we'll call it an anonymous text. You are being challenged. If I'm reading this right, you might know what this means, to a jack-off drinking contest at the Shenanigans party. Do you know what that means?
No, I don't know what that means, David.
I'm telling you, this guy, he says he's going to show up at the party. It's going down. Shenanigans. I can't tell you who it is. He wants it to be a surprise.
Linda, I hear you oohing back there. I know we're supposed to have a drinking contest of our own, but we'll do that. Waiting for a call back from the people at Jameson, because I'm not going to keep giving them free press. But be that as it may, whatever it is, David Hero, you know I've never backed down from a challenge. The question on our Facebook page, facebook.com/PWR show, who won this week's verbal battle, The Rock or John Cena? Last week, The Rock won. This week, right now, as of this moment, the voting is pretty much 50-50. So let's make sure we have a winner tonight. So we're going to have another Florida tie in the Facebook polling. We talk about the Shenanigans Beach Party. When we take this time out, you're going to hear a little bit more about it. And when we come back on the other side of the break, it's going to be your phone calls as we enter the phone zone. And also going to be telling you about the latest name added to the Shenanigans Beach Party on March 30th on South Beach in Miami, Florida. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown. We're going to take a time out. We'll be back right after this.
The Pro Wrestling Report presents the Shenanigans Beach Party, hosted by Big Sexy Kevin Nash and Sean X-Pac Waltman. Join us at one of the best clubs on South Beach, Ocean's 10, located at 960 Ocean Drive, on Friday, March 30th, starting at 7 p.m. The Shenanigans Beach Party will feature appearances by Billy Gunn, TNA TV champion Robbie E., former WWE Tag Team champions The Headbangers, Shane Hurricane Helms, along with others. Tickets for the biggest wrestling party ever are on sale now at PWRshow.com and start at just $15.
Saturday, March 31st. History will be made for internet wrestling fans. 3 of the biggest shows for wrestling commentary will come together for a WrestleMania weekend special. Pro Wrestling Report's Damian Nelson and David Hero will join with Aftermath's Artur O'Cal and Jimmy Corderas, who will join with Chairshot Reality's Justin LaBar and Josh Eisenberg for a WrestleMania special weekend. Friday from 7 till close, join the 3 shows at the 2nd annual Kevin Nash WrestleMania Party at Ocean's 10. VIP tickets are $99. General admission ticket is $15. Tickets can be purchased at PWRshow.com. Saturday, history will be made as the 3 shows come together on camera. 1 p.m. at Shuckers Bar and Grill. Come be a part of the taping for the WrestleMania special that will air WrestleMania Sunday on WrestleZone.com. All ages are welcome to come get their face on camera during the taping, then hang out with the whole crew on the beautiful patio at Shuckers Bar and Grill.
Subscribe to the Pro Wrestling Report on YouTube. We promise we'll never rickroll you, but we might just chokeslam you. Click the subscribe button now and be part of the revolution. Covering pro wrestling like no other, this is Monday Night Meltdown live on Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome back to the Meltdown. We're live Monday, March 5th on Blog Talk Radio. Damian Nelson, David Hero, and Matthew Thomas here with you live, talking about the Raw that was tonight. And an active Raw for sure. And I guess to put some finality to it, I would consider it a passing Raw, because it did what it needed to do to continue that forward progression towards WrestleMania. David, Matthew, First with you, Matthew. Your final thoughts on WWE Raw passing or failing great tonight?
I give it a pass, and much the same thing you said, Damian. It kind of, furthered the progress to the road to WrestleMania. There were a few things that I was not overly keen on. Shawn Michaels as the guest referee, it feels like it might even be a step back to me. And also the tag match where we had both of the champions on both brands getting their hands on each other 27 days prior to WrestleMania. It didn't really do it for them.
David Hero, overall, on the flagship tonight.
I think it was a definite pass. There was so much emotion in that first 40 minutes between H and Shawn Michaels and then Santino getting the belt. But, I understand what you're saying, Matthew. And a lot of people are complaining that, Jericho and Punk got involved. Hey, they were in a pay-per-view last month in the Chamber. So they've already cross that line of getting involved with each other physically. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think that regardless, here's the thing. Punk nor Jericho have done anything to each other to warrant them from not touching. If you go back to Steamboat and Savage, okay, and of course now we're going way back, and I keep comparing these two matches. Steamboat, when he finally got a hold of Savage, it was to get his revenge for for putting the bell into his throat. There's been nothing like that on either side. Yeah, Jericho put him in the walls of Jericho on the stage, but it's nothing nearly as controversial as it could have been. So there's no reason to really keep them apart. If anything, these two guys have got to get their timing down, because I don't think they're scheduled for any house shows going into WrestleMania where it's going to be Jericho and Punk. So they got to work out some of the things and get comfortable with each other. And the only way they can do that right now is, within a few minutes on Monday Night Raw.
Well, we'll get to your phone calls in a minute. Sorry, a good summary, though, David Hero. We'll get to your calls in a minute. I want to hear what you all thought about Raw. But as we said before we went to that break, another name announced for the Shenanigans Beach Party, which is going to be occurring at Ocean's 10. It's part of WrestleMania weekend in Miami, Florida, on South Beach. Now, when I say on South Beach, you will look out the patio from Ocean's 10 and see a little patch of grass, a little bit of sand, and then the beach.
Just because X-Pac is there does not mean you're going to see any patches of grass. Are you kidding me?
This is the party event of WrestleMania weekend. People are coming from all over the world to be a part of the Shenanigans Beach Party. I mean the United Kingdom, Australia, all states in the Union here. This is the party event of the year, and only a few more of you are going to get the opportunity to get those VIP seats as they are moving so fast, like hotcakes, like waffles at the Waffle House. They're moving so fast. You want to head over to PWRshow.com and get your tickets now. Of the Big Shenanigans Beach Party, of course, our hosts, Kevin Nash and Sean X-Pac Waltman. They will be hosts. They will be part of the VIP session starting at 7 o'clock. Joining them, Robbie E., also Billy Gunn, the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher, the Hurricane, Shane Helms, who recently announced that he's going to be a father soon. Congratulations to him on that. But just added to the list of celebrities joining us is a man who, doesn't usually stray far away from Robbie E., actually. Big Rob T., Rob Terry, is going to be appearing as well at the Shenanigans Beach Party.
Damian Nelson endorsed Rob Terry's going to be there. I can't wait to see you get your group picture with all your endorsed stars done in WrestleMania, starting off with Rob Terry at Shenanigans.
Now, in addition to Rob Terry and Robbie E., which that table is going to be awesome, by the way, because I could already see the velvet rope and the clipboard. If Cody actually shows up, if Ziggles actually shows up, The Miz is probably not going to be able to make it. He's busy.
No, and The Miz isn't invited. At the rate he's going, he may not even have a match at WrestleMania.
Shenanigans Beach Party, the names continue. We will have confirmation of another name next week right here on the Meltdown. confirmation of another name next week right here in the Meltdown, so you want to be sure to tune in and be a part of the Shenanigans Beach Party. And also at the Shenanigans Beach Party, you know that later on in the evening, Ardo Cal and Jimmy Corderas of Aftermath are going to be joining us. Also, we're going to be joined all night long by Justin LaBar and Josh Eisenberg of Chairshot's Reality before we have that big epic taping the next day at on South Beach, where all three shows will come together. I'm going to be appearing tomorrow. I'm going to be a guest with Justin LaBar on Trib Live Radio tomorrow at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to be pleased to talk to the very capable, the very, very good Justin LaBar on that show tomorrow. So, only during WrestleMania, David Hero, does so much happen at once. And it's going to be a big weekend in South Beach. And, David, let's make sure one thing happens, okay?
Yes.
Very, very important, and it's a condition of being able to use this facility. No, it's a condition here. You cannot, under any circumstance, give anybody the address to the PWR Beach House.
Oh, bro.
Don't do it. You can't do it.
I've already gone out to a few people.
No. We'll have paparazzi, flashbulbs, cameras, pictures, and we don't need anybody getting a picture of Linda in that state at that time. Right, Linda?
Wait. Linda's going to be in Florida the entire time, right?
Yeah.
Then what are you worried about?
Linda, you're the queen of shenanigans, right? There she goes. Somebody woke her up. I thought maybe it was that. I think maybe it was that state right now.
Oh, whatever, guys.
Linda, the hostess with the mostest, the coyote, ugly calendar girl, is going to be there as well. It feels as if you've rambled on long enough, David Hero. We've got tons of patient people on the phone right now, and let's go right down the list. Let's go right down the list, and let's first talk to Trina, who's on the phone. Trina, you are live here on the PWR Monday Night Meltdown. Go ahead with your comment or question.
Hi, guys.
Hey,
how you doing?
Hey, Trina.
Well, I have two comments. One, I think the Taker and Triple H's match, I think there's starting to get too much into it. Not only the Hell in a Cell plus Shawn Michaels, but also it's just me, but I didn't find the Rock promos really interesting. I had to turn the TV because I thought they were really not funny.
You changed the channel?
That's just me, and I thought, yes, I had to change the channel. I was bored.
Do you know what the problem is with everyone,
it's like he was saying,
myself included? I'm sorry, go ahead. Everyone's had expectations.
It's like
that's been the problem.
The same thing over and over again.
There is definitely some repetition. Thank you very much.
I expect him to be funny.
Well, I think that when you add so much realism to it, thank you for that call, Trina, when you add so much realism to it, the comedy sort of goes away. And The Rock, I think, delivered the comedy earlier in the evening, but the intensity on his face, the intensity in his discussion was very real. And it wasn't about ha-ha. It was about boots to asses, I guess.
You know what, though, Damian?
That's the thing I come up with.
Here's the one thing that everyone seems to be forgetting.
What's the one thing everybody's forgetting?
This promo has been going on for over a year right now. When was the last time that a promo has gone on this long? I mean, they've had to recycle so much stuff. They haven't been in the ring to do anything different since Survivor Series, so it's hard to get new talking points. Right now, it's going to be the same argument going on and on and on until someone throws that first punch.
Hopefully that first punch won't be thrown until April 1st.
Well, no, I'm sure there'll be a rock bottom or an FU or something the week before, just to put the doubt and to build the hype. But let's face it, I mean, what more can be said? Okay, so Rock is left for Hollywood. Rock is back from Hollywood. John Cena's a fruity pebble, There's nothing new to build off of, and that's the problem they're having. I'm just impressed that both guys have remained healthy for the entire year.
Let's go to our next caller, and looks like our next caller is CJ. CJ, you are live here on the Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown. Go ahead, CJ.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing today?
Fantastic.
What's happening, CJ?
All right. I got two comments. One, I wanted to go off and answer that question y'all was talking about with the day after WrestleMania. If The Rock wins or if he doesn't win. Well, my opinion on that, I really feel this will be a good storyline if The Rock does win Mania to have John Cena turn heel. Because of the fact of how his arrogance, how he was, just like you said, Damien, sarcasm, this is the old John Cena. The John Cena that we all kind of found interest in when he first got on the hot seat. So it wouldn't be a bad thing for John. Because, just like David Hero said earlier before when I asked him this question, they can have another match at WrestleMania 29 and have, John Cena win or have the second match, Rock and John Cena 2, in SummerSlam. But the second question comment I wanted to say is that do y'all think that this Triple H and Undertaker and Shawn Michaels thing doesn't almost sound like how can I say this, another screw job?
Oh, wouldn't that be the ultimate thing? CJ, thanks for that call. Would that not be the ultimate thing if someone other than Shawn Michaels screws Triple H or screws The Undertaker out of this thing? They're in cahoots all along. I'm not sure you can do that in this match, though. This match has to have a winner. With all that's being put emphasis-wise on whether or not Triple H can do it, whether or not the streak will continue, you can't be 19-0-1, in my opinion. You've got to be 20-0. You've got to be 19-1, whatever it's going to be. There has to be a winner, I think, in this matchup, and I'm not sure you can shroud it with controversy and maintain the integrity of what is the streak.
I'm not sure you can either, but that is the thing. That's the element that you've brought into it now, with Shawn Michaels, and that's one reason why I'm not as intrigued, to be honest with you, not as excited about the actual match itself as I would have been, say, a week ago, because that's always in the back of your mind as the match is going on. And to me, that element of, okay, is he going to screw him over? It seems like it might very well take away from the actual, enjoyment of the match itself.
Let's go to our next caller. Our next caller is Turk. Turk, you are live here on PWR Monday Meltdown.
Hey, guys, love the show. First thing I want to talk about is the Sheamus-Daniel Bryan feud. The way it looks like is Sheamus should just run over Daniel Bryan, not even from a size perspective, but the way Sheamus has been on a roll and nobody really seems to stop him. He's beating Mark Henry pretty simply, and he did that to Dolph Ziggler on Friday, I think, also.
Yeah, the heel, Dolph Ziggler. David Hero, I'm intrigued to hear how you think he may fit into this whole WrestleMania equation. He's been mouthing off a lot lately. He's going to be on Superstars this week. What I mean by mouthing off is recently saying he embarks to change the wrestling business over the course of the next year. We've talked about Dolph Ziggler. We talked about him in the brand new weekly episode of the Pro Wrestling Report Profile, which comes to us at PWRshow.com on Wednesdays. Last week, he was the focal point. This week, Dolph Ziggler, the Chosen One, rather. The Chosen One, Drew McIntyre, will be the focus. But, Ziggler is, I'm sorry, I'll keep marking out for him, tremendous. And you got to wonder if he's going to get a spot at WrestleMania.
Well, you know what? Now that they took the belt off of Jack Swagger, why not have a four-way tag team match? You have, Ziggler and Swagger against the Carlitos against two other tag teams.
Yeah, we do need a dark match.
Yeah.
No, that will not be a dark match. I mean, they have got to defend those. They've been giving the tag champs quite a bit of TV time lately, even though Kane ruined them last week. I think that might be the best case scenario. I mean, if you throw in Usos and the Carlitos, and then you got Swagger and Ziggler, and then you just find one more tag team. I think have your tag team title match then.
Let's not forget, as we talk about dark matches, let's not forget about the irony of what one of the championship matchups is this year. Last year, bumped to the beginning of the card, I believe in a Battle Royal even. It wasn't even the one-on-one match that was advertised during Mania. Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. This year, they're in one of the championship matchups, which I think really talks about the ability WWE has to make or break a star in a few months period, if not a 1 year period, with the focus that they choose to put on them. Thank you very much for that call, Turk. Let's go to our next caller, Giovanni. Giovanni, you are live here on PWR Monday Night Meltdown.
What's up, you guys? A few things. HBK is the ref. I don't care, but it was a good promo. Santino wins the title. That's great that they took the belt off of Swagger, because Swagger ain't got no swagger, in my opinion. He had an amateur background. That's it. No charisma, no mic skills, no nothing, in my opinion. Methodical Cena promo. I thought it was very methodical. When Cena was alone in the ring, I liked it. And I loved the history lessons. But back to the Cena promo, nobody remembers number 2. I called bull, because Cena is no doubt the greatest of his era. So after WrestleMania, if he loses, he'll still definitely be remembered. And I thought it was a solid Raw, but the end promo killed it, in my opinion. It was a weekend promo.
Did you just say that John Cena is the best of his era? Just clarification.
Best of his era, yeah. And this is
okay,
a Cena hater. Anyway, it's a weekend promo, in my opinion. The Tooth Fairy chant, how The Rock didn't respond to it. That's how I could tell that someone in the back just told Rock to, hey, Rock, take it down 5,000 notches to make Cena look good, which ultimately didn't happen because Cena's promo still sucked, in my opinion. Instead of continuing with that legit, I called it the legit Cena from last week, this week with an EA, this week, he's back to his old Super Cena, sharing is good and do the right thing and yay, goody two-shoes kind of thing.
Giovanni, I would have to say that very, very good comments there. But one thing I want to question, and thank you for the call, Giovanni, and I want to hear Matthew and David's feedback on this. I didn't realize this till right now. Giovanni just shared something with me that I had never thought about. Is there a John Cena era in professional wrestling? Does that
Absolutely
exist? We know there was an Austin era, there was a Hogan era, there was probably a Triple H era. Is there a Cena era?
Yeah, we've been in for the past 5 years right now.
I've been blind to it. I didn't realize. I am not being funny.
No, I mean, it's not surprising because when you're endorsing guys like Cody and Miz and Big Robbie, of course.
Will you stop? Look, Cody Rhodes has been on a meteoric rise since I endorsed him. Heath Slater had a setback or two. Dolph Ziggler is one of the most notable wrestlers in professional wrestling right now. Crimson has won a championship. The Miz was ruined when you picked him. The only problem with my endorsements are Brodus Clay and The Miz, and you ruined both of them. Matthew, is there a John Cena era? Did I miss that whole thing?
I've never really thought of it in those terms. I mean, I guess if you kind of think in terms of maybe the PG era, I kind of tend to associate Cena, more heavily with that. So John Cena era, I'm not so sure about that.
Wow. I don't know why it bothers me. I never thought about it. Maybe I never wanted to define this era of the last 5 years in wrestling. But I guess if you do, a Cena era would make some sense. Let's go to our next caller. Our next caller is calling us. Our next caller is Brandon. Brandon, you are live here on PWR Meltdown.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Love the show. Been a fan, what I call a true fan, not a mark or universe. I'm a fan of wrestling for 32 years. Met Damien in Cincinnati last year's lockdown. Very cool guy. Took a picture with me. Thank you, Damien.
Oh, tremendous. I remember that.
My stuff. Yep. The little concession lady couldn't figure out how to work the camera, and we were like, come on, lady, it's a damn camera. Well, my comment is I think Raw was pretty good tonight. I didn't like the squash out, especially to our guy, The Miz. I don't really understand why they continue to do that. But anyway, my question, and this honestly may be a 5 or PWR 5 now, not 5 more minutes topic. What is it going to take for Cena to actually get respect? I am, like I said, a fan for 32 years. I was a Rock fan. I've got videos, all that stuff. But I am a fan of Cena. I've been a fan of Cena for a while. And I don't understand the fact that people don't think that he can talk, he can wrestle. I don't understand the disrespect, what's the hatred, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Of Cena. I don't understand it. I don't understand how matches. I don't see him missing a lot of spots. I don't see him being, unattached, I guess, for a better word. I just don't understand that.
I think what it is, Brandon, you bring up an excellent point. I like to believe that I've said for a number of years that I have the utmost amount of respect for John Cena. David Hero, you've said as well that John Cena is the hardest working man in the business. He bleeds this sport. He is this sport. I think what the challenge has been, Brandon, is that we as fans who have been fans for a long period of time, we lived through Hogan, we lived through Bret Hart, we lived through these people before. And then we got the ever so frequently mentioned Attitude Era. And then from there we took a step back to the Cena era, which I discovered exists tonight. I think that's what a lot of the public disdain for John Cena has stemmed from. We as established wrestling fans who have been following the sport for a long time, we no longer relate to a John Cena. He's not the greatest of wrestlers. He can perform in the ring. He's not the greatest of wrestlers, but we just can't relate. We related to Stone Cold. We related to The Rock. We related to Hulk Hogan. We related to the Macho Man. We related to a lot of the stars of the eras before. But I believe that the entertainment business evolved in such a way that most wrestling fans of the past found Cena to be insulting to their wrestling fan core.
Let me make a direct correlation, and then you all can discuss it, and I'll hang out with the rest of the show. Triple H, who was my stated favorite wrestler, by the way, for a long time, Mount Rushmore, he's got to be one of the top picks.
Uh-huh.
In 2000, he was on everything. I distinctly remember The Rock was going to host Saturday Night Live. The first wrestler you saw, to the best of my recollection, was Triple H.
Right.
He had to be on everything. He was in front. He was pushed to the front. And, he was basically what everybody's saying, Cena is shoved down our throat. But everybody embraced that. And I don't understand, and I think that's kind of the same thing. Like Triple H at that time, you still had The Rock. You still had Mick Foley. You still had all these other people, but Triple H was always putting himself in front. You have CM Punk, you have Sheamus, you have Orton, you have Miz, you have all these other guys, but Cena's always pushed to the front, but the fans resent that as opposed to accepting it, and I go back, I don't understand it.
Brandon, you bring up a tremendous point, and David, I think that Brandon's just helped us determine what we're going to talk about this Saturday, on PWR 5. Why is Cena so hated? And I think the answer is he changed. We're going to evaluate that. We're going to evaluate that in PWR 5 this Saturday. It's going to be a great discussion, I'm sure of it, because we've not had that discussion yet on prime time. Thank you for that call, Brandon. Great discussion. Let's go to one of our final 3 callers of the evening, as we are actually now in overtime, by the way. I'm only going to try to go about 5 minutes more. So, guys, try to keep it as short and sweet as you possibly can, as we still have to give those Facebook results, to who won tonight between The Rock and John Cena. Let's go now to David, not Hero, who is waiting on hold. David, you're live. Hello,
yes.
David.
Yes. Hey, Damien.
Well, David Hero, unfortunately, is still there. David, the caller, not. Let's move on to our next caller.
Unfortunately, I'm still here. What does that mean?
Let's go to Antoine. Antoine, you are live.
How you guys doing?
Tremendous.
Good. I got a couple of, maybe just two questions I'll try to get into you guys. The first question is, being that WWE always has a celebrity to participate in WrestleMania so it can get into mainstream media, do you think that The Rock is really that celebrity for this year's WrestleMania since no other celebrity has been announced? And also at the end of Raw tonight, it was kind of awkward that it was so much time left over at the end of Raw that John Cena had all this time to do all these things at the end of the show. Do you think The Rock got stumbled again and was lost for words that he exited the ring a little early in the promo?
Thank you, Antoine. Matthew, I'll let you take the first part of that. Is The Rock that celebrity this year? David Hero, I'll let you take the second part of that from Antoine. Matthew, go right ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think even up to this point with the press that he's gotten over the last year since the match has been announced on talk shows and everything, I mean, I think he certainly has that pull. You know, the whole Shaq thing, you know, last I heard he was still claiming he was going to be a part of it, which I understand the WWE has denied, so it's going to be interesting to see if anything happens there, you know, as that was the rumor for a while. But, you know, I think if The Rock was the celebrity they went with, I mean, I think it's definitely an effective ride.
David Hero, part two of Antoine's question.
You know, I don't think that it was left early. I mean, I think that promo started at 10 minutes to the top of the hour. So it actually went almost 20 minutes, which I think is plenty long for any in-ring promo to air. It may have come across like it ended abruptly simply because we thought we would have gotten more out of The Rock. He just came in, delivered his lines, said he's going to rip out John Cena's throat and left the ring. So, you know, it was time to write. I'm sure next week it'll go way over, at least, 15, 20 minutes over. But, no, I think it was exactly where it should be.
Thank you for that call, Antoine. And let's go to our final caller of the evening, Keyshawn. Keyshawn, you're live.
What's going on, y'all? It's Keyshawn in the building. I'm going to go ahead and respond to one of your questions. Has it been the John Cena era? Of course, I had to get that out there. But, of course, it has been the John Cena era for the past, I would say, 5 years. That's the era where he was shoved down our throats to make us like him. But let's get to the real meat and potatoes like we always do. Let's go to Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. We had this discussion last week about, the possibilities that I was saying, what about a triple threat? I mean, if we're looking at this is a Hell in a Cell match. What's the point of really having Shawn Michaels there as special guest referee? You might as well have a triple threat match because, like everybody's saying, he's going to get screwed. We really don't want to see Shawn Michaels call it right down the line. It should have just been, a triple threat match. But, hey, we'll see what happens with her. But John Cena and The Rock tonight, I don't know what old girl was saying earlier about it not being funny, but there's a lot of things a lot of people did not see that happened, in the actual, live promo, what happened between them two. I believe some real things came out and some real feelings and emotions came out when the crowd finally got on John Cena's side for about, I would say, 10 seconds. They got on his side and they started chanting, Tooth Fairy. And The Rock kind of looked like, what? They going against me? And it really irked, and it kind of looked like John Cena could have a one-up on him, and I think that really kind of touched The Rock a little bit, and that's when you kind of seen him get in John Cena's face and called him a bitch on national TV, went ahead and called him there, and you can kind of tell John Cena's like, oh, is he serious? Hold up. Somebody please. And he looked out, and you saw John Cena look down at security like, watch him. Because The Rock got really, really pissed. And I think that The Rock was trying to make his point clear that you're not going to talk me out on TV. Now, I don't know what you guys feel from there or saw from there. It looked like there was some realism coming from that ordeal. And I'll let y'all go ahead and elaborate on. And one more thing. The Kane. What happened what's up with this Kane thing? Like, why now he's attacking Randy Orton? Like, are they just is Kane just a fill-in now? And Mark Henry the same way. Are they just fill-ins now? I don't get it.
Keyshawn, two things I want to say about your call. You could be the first person on this program to use the term "old girl," and I love it. Secondly, Randy Orton, Kane, Mark Henry. arguably, there are a lot of people getting pushed out of the way for WrestleMania this year due to the Jerichos, the Undertakers, the HBKs, the Triple H's, and the Rocks coming back. That could be a valid argument because let's not forget just 3 months ago, Mark Henry was the unstoppable freight train who seemed as if he would go into WrestleMania and defend his World Heavyweight Championship in a memorable matchup. Those days way behind us. Look at where The Miz was before you ruined his career, David Hero. Those days way behind us. Look,
you know what? I just realized
struggling.
I know who The Miz is going to wrestle at WrestleMania.
Here we go.
I just figured it out. What do you mean, here we go? What does that mean?
Oh, no, please enlighten us, oh mighty one.
Listen,
who's the Miz
ADR, Alberto Del Rio. Why not? Miz is out there whining and crying. He hasn't got a match at WrestleMania. ADR rolls out in his, $500,000 car saying, what are you crying about? I got hurt, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be ADR and The Miz. How about that?
There's no special parking for any high-value vehicles at Shenanigans, the beach park.
That's fine.
So just don't bother inviting them.
Listen,
I wouldn't mind
ADR and Ricardo Rodriguez are going to show up via helicopter, okay? It'll be fine.
And no, if Alberto doesn't come, Ricardo is not ready to drive you there.
What?
Just so you know.
Come on.
Just so you know, he's not prepared to do that.
That's all right. It'll be fine. It always is.
I want to thank everybody who chimed in tonight on the phone lines and the phone zone. I know we didn't get to everybody, but we definitely tried. We're actually well over our planned time tonight, but an active Raw, which certainly made it necessary. Want to also share with you those results from our Facebook page, facebook.com/PWR show. Who you voted for as the person who won this week's verbal battle, and it is a different result from last week. Let's refresh your memory. Last week, 55% of you saying The Rock came out on top, 45% saying Cena did, thus making The Rock the winner. This week, John Cena advances, however, not far enough. He's still the loser, as all of you fans said, with only 46% to The Rock's 54%. Again, that's the way you voted out there. That's your results. You can continue to chime in on our Facebook page. Some tremendous comments as well written in the comment section of our Facebook page. Also some tremendous dialogue in the chat room here on Blog Talk Radio. Also on Twitter, where you can follow us on Twitter, our Twitter username, @PWR Show. We are all each available individually at Twitter as well. Tomorrow it's a special edition of Ask the Booker, David Hero. I believe we will be booking an Attitude versus Reality era of WrestleMania. The whiteboard comes out during Ask the Booker tomorrow.
The new whiteboard.
At PWRshow.com. Want to give a special shout-out and thanks to the man they call Meathead, who's been doing all the work behind the scenes tonight, which I hope you noticed a much better flow to the show, and appreciate all the efforts there. You can listen to him Thursday nights on Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio as well. We're out of time. For Matthew Thomas, for the man they call David Hero, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us here live on PWR Monday Night Meltdown. We'll see you tomorrow night on Ask the Booker, exclusively at PWRshow.com. Thanks so much, everybody.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real. The Pro Wrestling Report presents the Shenanigans Beach Party, hosted by Big Sexy Kevin Nash and Shawn X-Pac Waltman. Join us at one of the best clubs on South Beach, Ocean's 10, located at 960 Ocean Drive, on Friday, March 30th, starting at 7 p.m. The Shenanigans Beach Party will feature appearances by Billy Gunn, TNA TV champion Robbie E., former WWE Tag Team champions The Headbangers, Shane Hurricane Helms, along with others. Tickets for the biggest wrestling party ever are on sale now at PWRshow.com and start at just $15.